Say a lot of things that I probably shouldn't say. Looking for things sitting right under my nose. Waste a whole damn day.
I loved This Wasn't the Plan. It was a brilliant name for an album. I think the passion project to become a full-blown unskippable album, it couldn't be more on the nose.
That's actually a funny story too, because for we've kind of been working on that one for like the last 5 or 6 years. It's only like 24 minutes, so we in our heads it's been an EP this whole time, and then we flushed it out to be 9 tracks with like couple transitions and stuff, and we're like, well, maybe this is an album.
It's a full-blown album, but
Yeah,
I love when artists do that. Like it's an EP. Okay, no, this is better than
right.
half of the things that are being pressed to vinyl these days. I mean, are you kidding me?
Right. We just realized that the whole time we were talking about how none of this was the plan, and it kind of just
This is
sucked.
not how we wanted it. This isn't the plan.
You open up the album with The Point Again, and the glitch once the line finishes, the art of turning the cheek has become a weapon against the weak. Imogen Heap never gave me that much crackle or pop. Like it's so ethereal.
God supposedly blessed has fallen hard into madness. The act of turning the other cheek has become a weapon against the weak. The masses, like the minority cowed, how dare they feel their anger is allowed to condemn is to practice righteousness. The point again, quite thoroughly missed. Is it enough to preach love, preach hope, preach peace, when a whole community, that peace will never
I feel like if you were playing this in an empty room, it would fill the space. Just figuratively, literally. What made you start creating music to share with other people?
I love that imagery of it.
I'll let you talk about this one because this one was kind of Crystal's baby.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so music for us, kind of like in the how we've described the album in the past, is it's a very cathartic process. You know, both of us being music therapists, we very much, we do it on ourselves. We process through the writing and through the creation and the sharing of music. Well, I had been living near Baltimore, and there had been a bunch of riots there, and it just kind of hit me, and I felt really helpless, and just I had to get the feelings out somehow.
Right.
And just later, when we decided we were going to actually start recording 2020, that we ended up recording it, and I was like, well, this is still appropriate, so I'd
Yes.
like to go ahead and flesh this one out because I feel like it's a message that needs to be shared.
She brought it to me, and I was like, well, just sing something. And she came up with a melody and came up with a note and just started glitching it underneath her, and so the whole song is just kind of built around that one note on guitar, and we performed it a couple times, um and so I had a live looping setup.
With Night Owl, I love that soft shaking instrument under the vocal, and the line, when the sun goes down, my mind wakes up. Was that written to intentionally help soothe or have a purposeful calming effect on your brain?
I personally really love this one because it's kind of also our most last minute song. Like the rest were really planned, and thought out and written over months and years. This one was like written in a day or two, and right before we've been building up some songs and talking about like, oh, which one should be our first single? Like, what are we gonna put out to be like, this is the Bonfire sound? And then like after those conversations, the song kind of came out of nowhere, and we played it. We were like, this is it. I think this this is what we want to sound like. Let's kind of make it folktronica. The shaker thing is actually sand blocks. Being a music therapist, we just have a bunch of kids' instruments laying around. And Jimmy Fallon does the like, you know, plays with toys and all that. We've always kind of like doing that kind of stuff and then putting beats to it. And then I took the kick and I sidechain compressioned the hell out of it with the kick from the drums.
Pretending that I'm competent, intending to be an optimist, defending my accomplishments, defending their politics. The sun goes down, my mind wakes up, 'cause I'm such a night owl. Just as soon as I gave up. 10 a.m. to do nothing. I forget how to be productive, and I doze again. I can't function. Wish work was retroactive because the sun goes down.
How do you do? That little clip, that vintage kind of radio clip at the beginning, flowing into almost like a Little House on the Prairie scene. I'm again, I really like what you guys are doing. I don't know, I don't often describe tracks as warm, but that one feels warm. It's almost like a hug. And you say that, sometimes a track just comes out, sometimes it takes years. So with that one, did it start with a lyric or a melody, or how long did that one take?
So I'm Doing Fine is our oldest song. I think we wrote it in college together and we put it out just on SoundCloud like a long, long time ago. And it was kind of crappy and our music production wasn't really there, but you know, it was just like, oh, we wrote this funny song, we should do something with it. And
Yeah.
still to the point where we took ourselves too seriously, so it kind of was out of the blue probably for and but it was you know, we sort of wrote it with some friends in mind with that slapsticky anti humor, like I wish these people would behave better in public.
Be a good listener. It pleases the speaker to know you are really interested in him. And then, too, you can learn much by listening carefully. And so the introductions have been completed, and the group settles down to friendly conversation.
How do you do?
How do you do?
How do you do?
And just held on to it because we liked it enough, and so we recorded it with some more bluegrassy instruments. So we got the banjo and mandolin going in there, and but the like that lead riff and the samples were also in recent months. Found the samples from an old like 40s, 50s public domain video that's just an instruction video on you know, how to behave in public, which I just thought was hilarious. And pick that, and how do you do as an intro to the track is just sounds like it's running off the reels. And
I think the samples are the most fun part of this because you get to watch all this just really cheesy stuff to find the perfect quote.
hours of finding cheesy stuff to dig out quotes for it that will align with what we're doing.
I can imagine.
Yes, I'm aware and very happy for you. I'm convinced and it makes sense. You said enough, just take the cue. Yes, I'm good, I said I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Keep bragging all about the things you've done. Go on, continue, please do tell. Keep telling me about the games you've won. By the way, I'm extremely very well.
We shall be pleased to see your work on courtesy. Sincerely yours.
Very well. Every minute that I stand in line, I'm sick and tired of wasting time. There's so much more to this life. Then one day we're all gonna die. But I'm doing fine.
What was something that shifted when you started writing as parents?
I think, well, partially it shifted in that we really had to be very intentional about the time and energy we were putting into literally everything, and that's why it took so long. Was, obviously we were a little bit busy. But then we got to a point where we were just like, I want to leave this legacy. I want it to be a legacy, which put a lot more, we were trying not to take ourselves so seriously, but at the same time, we're like, we really want this to be good. We don't want to just throw something out there and hope it sticks. We want it to be good. We want it to be something we can be proud of, which right now she loves it. She gets very excited when our voices come on the radio. It's gonna be a period of time where she's really embarrassed, but hopefully it comes back around.
Yeah, she might be embarrassed of it as a teenager, but still, we just hope it's a cool thing for her to have someday to be like, oh, my parents made this album, and it
Mhm.
was well constructed and thought out and produced. And she came in 2021, and 2020 it just hit. We started to do shows and perform, and that all kind of stops with the world, and so it kind of turned into a more bedroom project for us, but still, and we're both at the same time being really burnt out as music therapists, and careers shifted, and we moved twice, and uh, we changed jobs a bunch. So it just,
Yeah, it all
it,
just life is a
yeah,
domino effect. I get it. I think it
it wasn't the
ultimately
plan.
it's even more perfect. I think that it becoming more of a bedroom project just speaks to how I listen to it because it sounds very personal. It sounds like you two are in a room speaking to me, even though other people can listen to it and push play if they want. It's kind of just like it feels like a private party. So,
That was really kind of our goal with it, was to just be as real as we could be.
I mean, wandering a grocery store, that I'm thinking of being in an ice cream aisle. How does it feel being married to each other, singing to each other, telling each other that you'll do anything to make you smile? How does that feel as a couple?
It feels like we need to practice more. We're always like, we should practice these songs. We should try singing these songs together.
I wish the world would stop for a day.
I'd trade a year of my life to misbehave.
I'd sit and watch your freckles dance, and just succumb to the lover's trance. Wandering the grocery store, time itself at 7, and taste the things we always wanted to, but never. Spend a few hours in the ice cream aisle. I'd do anything to make you smile. Do-do-do, 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 do-do-do.
But it makes it fun to kind of try to put the inflections in our voices, and I think when we do record, or at least when I record the lyrics to it, um, I really try to put myself in that feeling, and it helps to have him right next to me. I just look at him, and depending on the mood of the day,
Yeah,
it comes out a little different.
I find it kind of funny that you bring up Wandering a Grocery Store too, because it is such a romantic sounding song, but originally it was supposed to be kind of anti-romantic. We actually originally wrote it as looting a grocery store. Um, and we wrote it in like 2018, and we're like, oh, this is a funny song about living in a grocery store, because I had a nightmare once about a post-apocalyptic world, and it's just us, and we're like, well, let's go rob that grocery store and I guess sleep in it and stay there. And then and then 2020 hit, and we're like, this isn't appropriate anymore. We probably can't have a song about looting a grocery store anymore. Does not feel it feels a little too on the nose, and so we made it a romantic song. But originally it was supposed to be looting a grocery store and sound all sweet and pretty, but you listen to the lyrics and it's like, oh no, these guys are just kind of taking stuff.
And then with wishful thinking, the string guitar in that lyric, you don't have to be condescending. I hope things are able to be different. Were you addressing someone specific, or were you both trying to just capture a broader emotion?
Just politically not seeing eye to eye with people you love. That's kind of a lot of what that song captures for me, is like we wish we could all feel and think the same things and see the same things, and everyone's coming from a different landscape and a different worldview, and it's just not always going to see eye to eye on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a really distinct memory of writing that one. Our studio in our previous house was in the basement, and we had painted it this bright emerald green and seafoam green because we just wanted it to be interesting. I remember being down there at night, again, one of those middle of the night inspiration moments, and Quentin had been working on it, and we kind of truly used it to talk through some of the frustrations and upset that we had been feeling.
You try to understand, but can never change. You try to hold my hand, but it feels strange. You said you'd always trust me, now I'm to blame. Ever since some things have never been the same. Feeling suspended in disbelief. You said it's love, but it feels weak. Isn't my opinion worth listening now? Maybe you don't have to be so condescending. I try to suppress any bitterness. I hope someday things can be different. I hope to show my children magnificence. Can we reconcile with a little more tenderness?
What a beautiful way to use it as therapy, though, also through the experience. I mean, we were all going through it, and that came out. It's a beautiful track.
Thank you. Whole album really just encapsulates the last 5 years really for us for sure, but we try to make it as parallel for anybody listening as well. That guitar loop I mentioned on The Point Again at the beginning, it starts the album. We actually kind of mirror that in the instrumental part of Wishful Thinking. The guitar riff is a loop in a weird time signature, and you get to that part where before it's an instrumental thing and the harmonies change, and it starts kind of glitching, and performing live it did the same trick where I stutter, like I freeze the guitar on one note, and then I build a drone out of that underneath everything.
That's dope.
So
I want to say chorus breakdown and right, but it actually feels more like a build up than a breakdown. I just love the arrangement and how it came to be. I mean, was it super fun playing your heart out? Because it sounds like it was.
I love singing this song. It is so much fun.
It feels like it. I mean, I hear it. I think that Right and Trampolines might be my favorite songs
Mm.
on the
I
album.
think I'm with you. It's hard to choose.
Such a funny conversation. All talk, no listening, and noticing a complication. All the facts are missing.
Where'd you get that opinion? Did it all gone digital? Just another hapless minion. Big brother bought your soul. You're a little out of honey, you've got battles to fight. Can't buy Mars with money, but you can buy right. You're a little out of honey, you've got battles to fight. Can't buy Mars with money, but you can buy right.
And then, well, I say Right and Trampolines, but I almost want to throw Costumes in there because it's almost like ping pong vocals. It's, looking for things right underneath my nose. Your interplay is hypnotic. Do you ever get inspiration from other artists who play with that vocal chemistry or do the call and response?
We were talking about this one last night too, because we were like trying to remember how we wrote it and how it came about. And
Yeah.
I remember wanting it to sound as stripped down and monotone as possible, without sounding boring, because nobody wants to listen to that. And but at the beginning, it's like the melody is kind of one or two notes. How do we make this sound interesting and also reflective? And because it's very introspective, and there's a song by Alt J called "Warm Foothills," and it caught my ear when I was listening to the song. And it's a sweet, like it's more of a ballad. It's really pretty and it's sweet, and it's a duet with a male and female, and they kind of pick up the melody after each other. And I was like, why don't more songs do this? This is cool as shit.
Trying something new
Just to break the
today.
finding costumes that don't fit quite the way. Diet of mine, like it's always trying something new just to break the mold.
So we kind of took that and applied it to Costumes and did the whole ping pong melody thing where we try to pick up the melody on, different octaves.
Trampolines was a lullaby for your daughter?
Yeah, Trampolines is sort of our love letter to her. We kind of had this album together as an EP before we wrote that song, before she was born. So this is like 2020, and we're like debating whether or not we released it. Everything's shut down, and now Crystal's pregnant, and she also had just started grad school.
Yeah.
So we were just right in the middle of all the crazies. The Taste of Wine Will Be Worth It When You Debut is literally like she just wanted a glass of wine while she was pregnant.
But it's been really neat to see how everybody takes it, and having so many friends who are so ingrained in the music world, their takes on our music are so different and in depth because obviously they understand the work that went into it and they catch the little things.
Yeah.
So that's been a really cool experience to be like, look, we did it.
Take your time. take